Welcome to IMAGI-NATION TV. We're in week 12. The theme this week is rebelliousness, and today is the youngsters episode. Last week, Sherry Jackson hosted with the theme kindness. She spoke with Uncle Richard Franklin, Karen Van Dien, Izzy Deng, and Marnie Shea, to name a few. We had designers, thinkers, artists, and of course the youngsters leading the way, co-hosting and participating in the audience. Today, I'm the co-host, Emogen Hannaford. I'm a Year 12 student at Trinity College, and today is my first time on the show. Obviously, I'm quite nervous, but it's a great opportunity to be a part of. And today we have Ryan and Steph hosting. Over to you two.
Thanks, Imogen. It's great to be here, walking alongside you today. Thanks for stepping up and joining us. I came to AIM about 2.5 years ago, and I was a radio presenter before that, and had the chance to get involved in a project where there was relationships built within a community that was pretty shattered. And ever since then, I've had this passion and drive to see change, and I know it can happen. And I think right now AIM's the best place for me to be. And I'm going to take over some hosting next week, so I'm in here having a go today. Over to you, Ree.
Thank you, Imogen and Steph. It's great to be alongside you both today. We've got some comments coming in from the chat line. Cherise said, let's go, Ree and Steph. And then she commented another one saying, yes, Imogen. Atlanta said, Imogen's killing it already. Lisa Toolin has said, doing a great job already, Imogen. And as Imogen just said, the theme this week is rebelliousness. So I want to throw it back to you two. Steph, maybe if you want to lead us first, what does rebelliousness mean to you?
I think for me, it's about wanting something to change. So changing the status quo or current state of affairs, and doing that in a way that will bring people with you. Yeah, so I look for those.
For sure. And Imogen, what's an act of rebelliousness you've done?
To be honest, I'm a bit of a goody two-shoes. So not a lot, but I honestly think, standing up for what you believe in, I believe that's what rebellious means to me.
Yeah, and I think at AIM, rebelliousness is about challenging the established norms. It's about people like you two, myself and Conor, who's in our audience today, leading from the front, because that's not typically what's outlined for Indigenous people of Australia. And I think AIM's really taught me the power of rebelliousness and how important it is to always stand up for what we believe in, and to challenge those norms and defy, I suppose, the already established authority. Obviously, without being too rebellious, not getting ourselves in trouble. Steph, has there been, what's the smallest act of rebellion you've probably committed during your time?
Well, like Imogen, I'm a little bit of a goody two-shoes, law-abiding citizen, but about 20 years ago when I got my licence for my auto, I bought a manual car and I had no one to teach me, so I had to drive a manual with an auto licence for a little while. So nothing too mad, but it helped me.
See, I grew up in South Australia, and I think we only have one licence that you'll go for, which is your normal one, and then you can choose what car to drive. So that's not really illegal for me. But I also don't know how to drive a manual yet. Maybe you could teach me one day. Imogen, how are we feeling about the show so far? What's the feelings you're going through right now?
I know, like I said, a little bit nervous, but it's good. I like the whole idea of this, and I'm good, happy to be a part of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for stepping up. Do you want to intro us into the principal challenge and lead that one with the principal of Trinity College today?
Sure can. So we're going to be asking a range of different questions in 60 seconds with the principal from my school, Mr. Holmes. How are you feeling today, Mr. Holmes?
I'm a bit nervous about this, actually. It's a bit toey, sort of thinking, what is she going to ask me?
All right, let's get into it then, shall we?
All right, let's do it.
All right. On what occasion do you value rebelliousness?
In terms of valuing it, or? Yeah, so I think when you're challenging a norm that you feel is wrong, if you're looking to have some form of community action and sort of step outside of that comfort zone and get people to think, no, that's not correct, that's not how society should be, and you need to then step up and actually have a say and sort of say, we need to do things better. And we saw a wonderful example of that on the weekend in Adelaide, and that was to go into Victoria Square. That was a wonderful thing to actually see it participating.
All right, what would you say is your secret power?
Kindness.
All right, I think we're done in 2 seconds. And we're done. Thank you.
That's all right.
I think that was the longest and quickest principal challenge ever. It went for a minute. We got through 2 questions. Thank you so much, Mr. Holmes, for going into depth about what rebelliousness you value. Today, for the wizardry segment, we didn't have anyone lined up. But we do have Conor on the call, who I think has been on the show 3 times now, did a speech, co-hosted, and I think we just can't really get rid of him because he's so eager to be on the show. And pre-call, I asked him if I could put him on the spot during this segment, and he said, sure thing. So let's hand it over to Conor for our 180 seconds of wizardry.
Hey guys, I'm Conor. This is my 3rd time on the show. Good to see you all again. And although this thing right here, the dictionary, might not be the most exciting thing that comes to mind when you think of fun, but I'm going to be using this to spice up our 180 seconds today. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm just going to keep talking. I'm not going to stop talking. Hopefully I'll be able to keep talking whilst I'm finding a word, but that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to look in the dictionary and find you guys a word. I'm going to start rambling on about that. So let's have a look here. We've got overhead, overhaul, overhang, overhang. So definition: overhang, a project or hangover, an overhang, an overhanging part of a structure or rock. So I don't really know much of rock climbing, but I have been rock climbing in New South Wales, where I used to live there about 5 years ago. We went to a place called Emogen Hannaford Park. They've got lots of amusement rides. They've got a toboggan hill in the name. They've got a maze. They've got mini golf, arcade games, and they also have an indoor rock climbing wall. So I did only go on that once. However, I got halfway up the wall and there was an overhang. And unfortunately, I didn't really have the strength to keep going, but I did get pretty far. And now I'm going to go look at another word. We've got painter, paintball. Let's have another look. Pound, pounder. Definition for pounder: thing or person weighing a specified number of pounds. The only pounder I really have heard of is probably the McDonald's quarter pounder. McDonald's is all right. I tend to think of it like fairy floss food. It doesn't really fill me up, but you know what? When I'm craving one, I'll order myself a quarter pounder, and that doesn't go too bad in my opinion. Let's have another look for a word here. Philosopher. That's a really good one. I really like philosopher because I tend to I try to relate to philosophers myself. I think there's a lot of important lessons to be learned. And, as much as my ego permits, I wish I could be a philosopher, because I like to teach people things. That's my thing. I like being a leader, and I like getting up on the screen right now. And I think most of the people who've written this thing is probably a philosopher. I don't know. I'm just rambling now, babbling. Let's find a new word now and move on. Reiki, definition: healing technique based on the principle that the therapist can channel energy into the patient by means of touch. Now that sounds a bit like Jesus to me. I don't really know what else to say. I'm going to find another word. Decking, planking, forming the deck of a ship. I do remember there was this one New Zealand ad about decking. It was a bit odd for those who have seen it. It was a bit vulgar, but hey, it's a good laugh. Let's find another word. Let's have a look here towards the back now. Space. Continuous expanse in which things exist and move. Now, in my physics class at school, we learned a lot of things about space. We learned motion, relativity, projectile motion. Although I try to study really hard, I do all right. One thing I can tell you about relativity is that the faster you move to the speed of light, the heavier you get. And to travel at the speed of light, you would have to have infinite mass, and that would require infinite energy, which is impossible, which is why we can't travel at the speed of light. Awesome. Thank you.
Wow, Conor, that was something. Can we get everyone just to take themselves off mute and give Conor a round of applause for that?
Yes, Conor.
Yeah, Conor.
Well done.
We have a lot of comments coming through the chat line. Georgie has said, can't wait for speeches today. Charisse has said, always love the youngsters segment, a topic that's so relevant right now. Marley saying, Conor, what a boss presenter. Jess said, what an epic introduction, Imogen. Charisse has also said, this is so cool, Conor, I need to give it a go. Gemma said, energy. Kat can't stop smiling. Shaq has done little like hands up, and Penny has said, what an amazing example of getting out of your comfort zone. Thank you so much for that, Conor. I was absolutely losing it behind the scenes. Now we're going to go over into a video for the Presidents of Imagination.
I want to get our homeless people off the street.
I want to see a future where education is free.
Today, we ask you to imagine what's possible.
We're building a new nation called IMAGI-NATION, where we give the keys to the kids who are ready to lead. Today, we have two presidential speeches for us. Emogen Hannaford, our co-host, is going to give it a crack. How are you feeling, Imo?
Not too bad.
Good, good. Well, over to you for your speech. Take it away.
Rebelliousness. This can be defined in a variety of different ways. It can be described as an act of opposing the ideas of the people in authority and a motive to change the system. It can also be known as the quality of being difficult to control and not behaving in a way that others expect. But what does it mean to you? And what does it mean to me? I think a true rebel is someone who wants to change the world, and for someone to break the rules and to stand up for what they believe in. I believe that they have this passion and this urge to change something. Being a rebel may not always be such a bad thing. You can use this to see change in a world and to rebel against the norm of society. The world is designed with people who disagree, whether it be something that's over something small or for something that will impact the world. It's designed with people to make a change. For there to be change, there must be people willing to break the rules. Have you ever felt so passionate about something that it nags at you and it fights to be heard? Have you ever felt that something's not right? It might be a rule, but you disagree with. It might be something that you just don't feel that's right. I think rebelliousness relates to what's going on in the world presently. People are rebelling and standing up for what they believe in. Although some people are getting aggressive and destroying our earth, it is all led by this urge to see change, and it comes from the feeling of rebelliousness to break and rebuild a system that people want to break because it's just not right. I would like to make you think, have you ever broken a rule? Have you broken it because of influence from others? Have you broken it because you disagreed with that rule? Some rules should not be broken because there are reasonings behind these rules, like speed limits on roads. They are there for safety and a rule to keep us protected. People break rules every day. Sometimes these rules that are broken can leave damage and heartbreak. But what rules will you break to make our world a better place? Be rebellious, but not for the wrong reasons. Identify which rules are put in place to keep us safe and protected. Rules that do not restrict us from being ourselves, but rules that are there to provide guidelines and ones that do not negatively affect our world. No rule should ever be in place to lessen our abilities. No rule should be in place to adjust who we are. Rules that affect our culture, our history, rules that stop us from being ourselves, those are the rules that should be rebelled against. Not the ones that will put you in harm, but the ones that are targeted to keep us normal. Please stand up for what you believe in, peacefully and respectfully rebel against those rules that limit our ability to be our true selves. Don't change because the world expects you to change. Be who you are, stand up for others, love others, be kind to everyone, and rebel because rebelliousness is normal. But please rebel only against things that will not harm you, because that is when rebelliousness can be dangerous.
Thanks so much for that, Imogen. I definitely felt some of those feelings that you're talking about in there, and I think it's amazing to have you guys share with us what's going on in your head. Like, we know that young people are capable of leading, and the thought of having those messages amplified throughout your schoolyard is really inspiring. So thanks for sharing all your thoughts and putting your work into that. And now it's over to the storytelling dictionary maestro, Conor, for his presidential speech. All yours, buddy.
G'day, people of the Imagination Nation. I have returned to presidency, so may I begin? If you can't quite see the image behind me, let me give you a quick rundown of what it is. This is the 1929 artwork of French artist, please forgive my pronunciation to any French speakers, Reine Magritte, called in English, The Treachery of Images. The artwork depicts a traditional smoking pipe, accompanied by a set of text below it, which reads, "This is not a pipe." That's odd, isn't it? Well, we can clearly see it's a pipe. What makes this pipe so different to any other? It's the way we perceive this pipe that changes its meaning. We can see that the image depicted is a pipe. However, it is just that, an image, an artwork. So, what does this mean for us? Our ability as humans to think independently, to ask ourselves questions, to come to our own strength and conclusion has been shrouded by a cloak of social media. In a time where snail mail has been replaced with instant messaging, where dial-in phones have aged into fossils, let alone Nokia's brick phones, book reading has become a niche hobby, we are more connected than ever. And yet, instantly is not quite fast enough. We click and tap away from videos or posts online that take too many seconds to load. We refresh our internet browsers a dozen times before we get off our own butts to check our internet router. Our attention spans are toasted from the instant gratification our brain receives from the use of the internet. Now hold that thought right there. This week's theme is being rebellious. I am almost certain that you've heard the news of the Minneapolis protests by now. I would firstly like to pay my respects to the life of George Floyd that was unfairly lost before I continue. In my own nature, I would like to use these events to teach you an important message regarding rebelliousness. There are a dozen ways to rebel. Hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, you get the point. But what we must understand is that we must think for ourselves when we decide what we rebel against. Does our rebellion need violence? Is it offensive to others not involved? Are we protesting for us or them? How can we make the them become a part of us? Vice versa. Rebellion is a difficult choice. To break trends, whether they are bad or good, dangerous or not, the repercussions of our bold actions make or break our efforts. So let's take this opportunity to not only fight for the satisfaction of our treatment as human beings, but for others. And to remember, do not let the modern media become your eyes, because in the end, you will always, always have your heart. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Conor. I actually watched this video this morning about attention being like a really scarce commodity. So people are always looking for something new. So having you raise awareness through, like, if you have a cause or if you're fighting for something, like, you have to be able to keep your focus on that and not just let it dwindle away to create change from it. So really, really inspiring having you guys tell us some of your insights about rebellion today. And now, I don't know if this is your favourite part of AIM, but it is for me. We're going to head over to failure time after this quick video.
Hey team, first of all to Imogen and to Conor, those speeches were awesome. Really well thought out, really well written, really clearly delivered. So as a former mentor and a program manager here in SA, I'm so proud of you guys. We're going to jump straight into failure time today. And I wanted to focus on something that Conor said in his speech, which was a question. So how can we make the them a part of us? So for failure time today, we're going to do a little bit of an activity to see if we can come up in the next 5 minutes with 10 things that we all have in common. So they can't be obvious things. It can't be 2 eyes. It can't be that we all have hair, that we've all been to school. It can be hobbies. It could be an aunt's name. It could be a dog's name, a dog breed that you owned. But let's keep it fast-paced. We're all going to go through Conor, Rianne, Steph, Emogen, and let's see what we all have in common. So I'll kickstart us off by saying that my mum can drive a manual car. So is that something that we all have in common? Thumbs up.
Steph.
In the middle, she can drive, but not very well.
Okay, awesome. Conor, give us something that we might all have in common.
Right, so I hope this one's not too obvious, but I do hope that it has a lot of significant meaning. Mine is we were all once kids and some of us still are.
I do still feel like a kid sometimes. Over to you, Ree. What do you think we might all have in common?
We have all previously lived or live by a beach.
By a beach. Not by a beach.
Do I keep going or do I hand it over to someone else?
Yeah, we'll go through everyone. So over to you, Steph. What might we all have in common?
I really enjoy being creative.
Awesome. We all have that in common. Emogen, what do you think we might all have in common?
We've all been on the app TikTok.
Yeah, sad to say I'm on there every single day. Okay, I have traveled to the States. Dang it. All right, Conor, what have you got?
If I haven't traveled to the States, I want to.
Yeah, yep, I'll take that. Ree?
Have a pet dog.
No. Steph, what have you got for us?
I'm in the market for a puppy though. I have seen more than 10 shooting stars in my life.
No, not more than 10. That would be cool though. Emogen, what have you got?
We've all travelled interstate.
Awesome. All travelled interstate. My next one would be that I really value kindness. Awesome. Conor, we're at 5 now. So we were all kids once. We love being creative. We've all been on TikTok. We've all travelled interstate. We all value kindness. What else?
We have slept in more than a dozen times.
More, for sure. Every weekend. Ree, what have you got?
We have rebelled in some way that has got us in some level of trouble.
Oh, almost. Steph, we've got 6 at the moment. Can we get 4 more in the next 2 minutes? Let's see what you got.
I think we can. How about this one? I like hugs.
For sure. Emogen?
We have all stood up for something we believe in.
For sure. Just this weekend. Okay, let's see. I can ride a bike. Okay, cool. Conor?
I think this one's probably going to take the cake. We have all learnt from our mistakes.
For sure. Ree, you might be rounding us up for number 9. What have you got?
We've all got out of our comfort zone, including IMAGI-NATION TV.
For sure. Let's see if we can get the last one, Steph.
Oh, I thought that was the last one. We've all had moments when we've blanked and improvised on the spot.
For sure. Awesome. That wraps up our 10. So we were all kids once. We all love being creative. We've all been on TikTok. We all want to travel to the States. We've all traveled interstate. We all value kindness. I think you were right. I've gone way over the top. We've slept in more than a dozen times, like hugs, stood up for what we believe in. We can ride a bike, and we've all improvised on the spot. So I'm going to throw it over to Emogen as the co-host today. Why do you think it's important to find ways that we're similar to others? Why do you think that's important?
I think that's important because we live in a world where everything's broadcasted, like everything's on social media, and everyone always looks at other people. They're like, oh, we're so different. But we're not. We're all the same in some form of way. There's things that we've all done, you know, we're not that different than we all think we are. So I think it's good to know that there's more things in common than there's things that aren't common.
Yeah, for sure. We have way more things in common with other people than we have differences. Conor, do you have anything you want to add in the last 15 seconds?
Yeah, I think it's important to find similarities between each other, because that helps to unify us to fight against the common cause.
For sure. Guys, you're doing an awesome job as a program manager in SA. I'm so proud. Thanks for jumping on today. Thanks for joining in Failure Time.
Thank you so much for that, Georgie. And yeah, I think that to echo the same remarks, Georgie, Conor and Emogen are doing incredible today. And we've had lots of comments coming in. We've had people reflecting on the speeches that you've just said. We've had Standby Empire saying great words. Tom Wensley said, how can we make them become part of us? Hannah James has said, Georgie creating on the fly, love it. Maddie Leonard has said, meteor showers are worth staying up for. Vicky said, failure time engagement at its best. Janaea has said, what a creative idea. Thank you both for taking the stage today, Emogen and Conor, and Steph for backing me up on this live TV show. I think, Emogen, what you said about how can we break the rules to make a better place, and Conor speaking about them becoming us, has left me feeling really inspired today. I think that's what this platform's for, and I'll continue to say that every time I come on this show, which is to give you guys the stage. So know that if you do want to ever run this show, the stage is yours. I can see Conor giving me thumbs up. I'm assuming that's a yes. And, you know, I'm so hopeful to have you guys as our future leaders. So thank you very much for coming on the show today. To close it out, we're going to watch an interview with Shaquille Walker, who is a former AIM mentee in WA and a previous AIM's Got Game winner. Thank you, guys.
Shaq, welcome to AIM TV. It's awesome to have you here. Last time I saw you, you were in Sydney dancing in front of one of the oldest buildings in front of Circular Quay, because you'd made it through the AIM's Got Game competition and worked through with these Bangarra dancers to produce a dance. And we're now over in Perth, over in your hometown, and I wanted to spend some time with you getting to know a bit more about your story. So can you talk us through you know, Shaq's story growing up and what's landed you here on AIM TV today?
I think like primary school, you know, kindergarten through to year 6 was kind of a rough patch for me. Had a lot of heartaches, a lot of struggles with getting bullied and picked on. My dad walked out on me, and Mum had to raise me and my brother by herself on, you know, not a lot of money, and there was a lot of stress and had a lot of impact on me. And it was hard for me. I was going to school every day, not wanting to be there, being picked on, and I had to find something, had to find a release. I had to get it out, because especially in the community that I'm in, it's drugs, it's alcohol, it's self-harm, And for me, I didn't want to end up like that. I wanted to not let it pull me down, but bring me up. So I found dancing and it became an obsession and it helped.
Can you remember the moment or a moment where something clicked in your head to go, I'm not gonna walk down that path, and dance became the option for you? But what happened before there to kind of find your way out? Because there's something happened, a fire happened, or there's some strength that came through you.
There was still moments where I felt myself going down those paths, not so much the drugs and alcohol, but more so the self-harm and the depression way. And it's scary, it's dark. I was at school and I sort of snapped. Some kids were picking on me and they said something about my mum. It was very, very bad. I mean, I've been picked on all through that schooling. I mean, I used to get beat up every day and had bad things happen to me and just no friends. And for a kid that would sit under a tree and not really harm anyone, who would just write raps because I like rapping, or would just focus on dancing, sometimes you're like, why am I getting picked on? When you're playing music, nothing really escapes that sound. When you're in that moment, for me, I was like, that's all that mattered in that moment. But I think that's when I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do something with this.
How have you danced that journey with your Aboriginality? How's it been for you about who you are and how does it sit with you now as a 16-year-old?
When I was growing up, I never knew about my Aboriginality. It wasn't until I got a little bit older that Mum told me, because obviously my dad, he wasn't there to tell me. But before my nana passed away, Mum told me, and she told me that, and I become more obsessed. And obviously I've always felt comfortable with it because I've been around my auntie and my uncle and my little cousins, and I've always felt like a part of this, and they've always said like, we can feel your strength about it. And I've always sort of taken every opportunity I can to give back to that, because for me, especially when you get picked on and you don't feel connected to much, I felt connected to my dancing, and I felt connected to this part of me that I didn't know a lot about, which is why I become so obsessed with AIM as well last year, because you learn a little bit about yourself that is there and you feel connected to, and you're like, I don't know what I'm connected to, because of course, like growing up being like a lighter skinned person as well, you have a lot of people that are like, you're not Aboriginal. And it's like, where's your proof? And you don't really know what to say in these situations.
What's life look like for you now? You know, looking at 16, heading forward, what are you looking at on the horizon for your life, Shaq?
I would love to be able to get to a point where things that I say matter to a lot of people.
Have you got any messages for the kids on the other side, for those kids that are getting bullied or feeling left behind? What would you say to them?
I think I've said it lots and lots of times in different ways. I think the best and most important way to deal with it is just know that whoever you are and whoever you feel you are is a beautiful person, and you shouldn't be ashamed of that. And anything that you want and anything you feel that you can do is achievable, and don't ever let anyone tell you that it's not achievable, because you should just love yourself and love who you are, and be proud of where you've come from and be proud of who you are, and that's all that matters, and don't ever let someone tell you any different.
What do you mean? When you nod your head yes, but you wanna say no. What do you mean? Hey, yeah. When you don't want me to move, but you tell me to go. What do you mean? Oh, what do you mean? Said you're running out of time. What do you mean? What do you mean? Better make up your mind. What do you mean? When you nod your head yes, but you wanna say no. What do you mean? When you don't want me to move, but you tell me to go.